Brian Smart, no question, just a shout out and thanks to Bill. After watching your video about the crash of Spaceship Two, I finally decided to stop putting off my dreams of getting my pilot's license. It took a couple of years to save and get through ground school, but I passed my check ride in October, and I am looking forward to starting instrument training very soon. Thanks for the inspiration. Brian, you are a steely-eyed missile man, and there's very few of you out there who can do that. Congratulations, first of all, and secondly, thank you very much. It's extremely flattering, and it's beyond flattering. It's just something I never really could get over. It's interesting that you said that it was the video about Spaceship Two that got you to take up flying, because that video, as I recall, is the one that basically says there are demons up there, and we don't know what we know. We don't know what we don't know until we go up and find out. And Natasha worries about me flying, and I know she does. In fact, I think she worries a great deal about me flying. And it's very hard for me to completely convince her that I go to superhuman trouble to make sure that I don't have any scares up there. And one of the things I do is I train very hard. And I trained very hard when I was learning how to fly. And if I can recommend anything to any pilots out there, it's go get some glider time. Just get some glider time, even if it's an hour of glider time. Go up there and do 2 or 3 toes to pattern altitude and come back. Spend an hour, take 2 or 3 800-foot toes, and just turn around and land. You need to know as a pilot, you need to know in your bones, I don't mean intellectually, I mean you got to be able to feel it, that an airplane will fly without the engine. Most all of these fatalities are due to people simply can't believe the engine stops and they stall the airplane. If you just did an hour or 2 of glider training, getting the glider rating would be great. It's relatively inexpensive, but everybody ought to get that experience of being in an aircraft and then watching the rope. You pull the lever, you do, not the tow plane, and the rope just goes. And now you're in an airplane without an engine, and you're coming down, and it's not the end of the world. On the contrary, it's absolutely normal. I mean, it's what you do when you pull power back to land. Essentially, you turn your airplane into a glider. And the nice thing about it, if you decide to stay with it, is not only are you prepared if there's an engine failure, but you're prepared in a better way too, I think, because rope breaks are a lot more common than engine failures. And so you're constantly, defensive driving is when you're always looking, where can I go? What can I do? What if somebody comes out of here? What if this guy merges? It's the same thing with defensive flying. What happens if the engine fails now? Where's my nearest landing field? What's the wind doing? Which way is the wind going? If I had to land on that road down there right now, which would be the way to go? Would I go this way or the other way based on the winds? It's going to be a tremendous opportunity for you. I cannot recommend this highly enough, because the more I hear about these accidents, and they happen frequently, where people simply they stall the airplane. Guy who made the canopies for the airplane I wanted to put on my Long Easy, Todd Silver, was killed in an accident 6 months ago, something like that. And I really liked him. I got a chance to go out there and spend an afternoon with him, and I thought he was great, and his wife and his family and everything. And next thing I know, I wake up and hear he's stalled his airplane. He's been killed. He's been killed at an airport. I saw the wreckage. The wreckage looked like the wreckage looked like a couple of garbage bags in size in one spot, about 10 feet off of either the runway taxiway or the runway. And that's telling me that the plane went straight down, because if it goes like that, first of all, you spread the pieces out more, and secondly, you're much more likely to survive it. So when I hear about these people who constantly, when they have an engine failure, they end up crashing, I don't know what to say about that, having had 3 of them, other than to say, if you're a pilot, get some glider time. You will not know what to do. You can think you know what to do, but until you have that moment when you realize, okay, this plane is not, there's no propeller on this thing anymore, it's got no power. You really need to know that an airplane will fly just fine without power. And if you do that, then you can land that airplane anywhere. You can put a Cessna 172 down just about anywhere. Yeah, tremendous. Okay, so moving on. And congratulations again, Brian. Oh, by the way, you said you're going to be taking your instrument rating. That is the most fun. It's fun's not the word. It's the most rewarding thing I ever did. The test is tough. The check ride is tough. But the best part is you will, with a hood, I probably have a hood on because, at least in California, there's no instrument flying. I took off from Santa Monica Airport, and at, 100 feet, I put on the foggles, which only let me see the instrument panel. And then I flew for an hour and a half, and I looked outside finally when I'm getting ready to land at San Luis Obispo. And you're in a completely different place. I don't mean just like a different neighborhood. I mean the whole terrain has changed. Just like, my God, I flew here and didn't hit anything. It's amazing. And T-Dog Lies says he'd been intentionally cutting engine power on the flight sim. I'd be embarrassed to tell you how many hours I put into this. I'll bet it's 5,000. When the flight sims started coming out, like Flight Simulator 3 or 4, the first time they started getting like just a flat green, it was just no terrain texture or anything, but at least the sky was blue and the ground was green and the runways were gray with the lights at nighttime. I would take the Learjet on Flight Sim 3 or 4, and I'd go above O'Hare usually, and I would preset it. I wouldn't fly it up there. I just set it to 80,000 feet. And I just go, and I wouldn't start the engines. I just glided like a business jet, which has more or less the same glide ratio as a space shuttle. And I just again and again and again and again and again, I just dropped it off at nighttime, 65,000 feet, looking down at all the runway lights. It was awesome, and just flying it down, keep the speed up. If you're better to be high and tight than to be far away and low because you can't get that back. And if you're, a little too high, you just do some S-turns, put it down there, and I could just nail that thing every time. The flight simulators now are so unbelievably, PC flight simulators, unbelievably realistic. I might do an entire show about DCS, about the DCS sim, because it is absolutely spectacular. I'm so tempted to get set up for Christmas because DCS, Digital Combat Simulations, has real-time game views that look like video to me. They're that realistic. It just looks like video, and everything's tied together. And everybody, you can obviously play an A-10 pilot, F-15 pilot, something like that. Or if you want to be a gunner down at a Zika, the Soviet anti-aircraft thing, you want to be a guy who's running a missile system someplace, you want to be driving a tank, you can be all those things, and it is absolutely fantastic. But yes, I would recommend highly that you get just a regular PC flight sim, and you just get a cheap joystick or a yoke would be better for you if you're flying general aviation, and just get a flight sim and just go up and do things. Go up and just take the thing around and just stop the engine. And you'll see that you can land on any road, anything. You'd be amazed. You just have to have the confidence to keep the airplane flying. Because if it's flying, it's an airplane. If it's not, if it's below stall speed, it's a big heavy piece of aluminum and plastic, and that's not going to end well, generally speaking. So don't let it become that. But congratulations, Brian. It's something very few people actually do. And anybody who's ever gotten their pilot's license knows Shilka. Thanks. I knew Foghorn would get that right. He's probably taken out a few of them himself. I certainly hope so. Passing your check ride and getting your certificate, getting your paper is a big thrill, but it's nothing like your first solo. Your first solo is unreal. It's an out-of-body experience. For those of you who don't know, you'll be practicing with an instructor, and he'll get more and more advanced. And the more and more advanced he gets, he does less and less and less, presumably. And comes a time when you're getting close, and he knows that that you're getting close, and you go out there and fly one afternoon and going around doing a couple patterns. The wind's not too bad, and your landings have been pretty good. And then usually what happens is he says, "All right, I'm going to get out here. I'm going to be on a handheld radio. Just go around the pattern 3 times, full stop, taxi back, and don't hurt the airplane. And he gets out of the plane, and off you go. And I've only talked to 3 or 4 people about this, but I'd be willing to bet you, and I bet you Foghorn has something to say about this too. It is unbelievable how much better you fly when you're flying by yourself. When that instructor gets out of the plane, your flying skills triple. I can't explain it other than to guess that while the instructor's in the plane, you're using him not only as a crutch, but you're also using him as it's like you're being watched while you're working. You got somebody over your shoulder, you got everything perfect. And if I get in trouble, I'll just ask the instructor. When they leave that plane for the first solo and you take off and do your first solo flight, I couldn't possibly believe how much better I flew by myself. I mean, it was just tremendous. And when you do it, you feel like a steely-eyed missile man, because you are. There's very few people that do that. And especially my favorite part of it, Brian, is not only are there very few people in this country today that do it, but you got to really every now and then say, I always do this. I sometimes I'm flying around, I'm thinking, how many billions of humans have sat on rocks or on tree stumps or on hills and watched birds fly and just wish that they could do it. And it's been, as long as there have been people, as long as there's been language, this has been something people want to do. And to do it is amazing, absolutely amazing. But DCS, just if you want a real kick, go to YouTube and look up DCS. Falcon BMS, I want to say, was a really good F-16 simulator, but DCS I think has got it beat. And DCS, every week they add a new airplane, really cool airplanes too. They got an L-39 that's awesome. They've got a Mirage, and Mirage is a piece of crap, but they've got they've got everything. F-15s, the A-10 is unbelievable. The A-10 is unbelievable. And so just go look at these DCS videos, and you will not believe what the graphics are doing. It finally made me feel like I'm in the 2017 era, because finally the in-game graphics are as good as the pre-rendered cutscenes. And we got just 2 to go, I think.